All right, hello everyone. This is me, and I want to talk about some sort of sickness that is present in the yoga community and in spirituality communities generally, which is, as I titled the video on YouTube, Only Good Vibes. So Only Good Vibes is a popular t-shirt. It's a popular pillow cover. It sounds really nice, right? Only Good Vibes sounds like I just want people to be positive and everything's going to be great and fun and we don't have room for bullshit. And I get it. In a way, I get it. But here's the problem with Only Good Vibes. Life is not only good vibes. Life is tough vibes. Life is painful vibes. Life is suffering vibes. So the story of the Buddha himself is that he was grown up in only good vibes. He was brought up in a palace, and anyone old was kept away. Anyone sick was kept away. Anyone homeless was kept away. Anyone in a lower caste was kept away. And needless to say, it was probably not a great situation for women. So at some point, Siddhartha, the future Buddha, got out of the palace and went for a little tour of his kingdom, which he'd never been allowed to see. And he saw an old person, an elderly person. He saw a sick person. He saw death. He saw suffering. And he said, oh my God, what is happening? I've never been allowed to see any of this stuff. I thought all of life was like a big mango, right? All of life was just one big jelly donut without the indigestion. Everything was great. So once he saw that suffering existed, he went in for a search of truth. And that truth involved yoga for 6 years. But even that wasn't enough. And the yoga he did for 6 years wasn't exactly the yoga we know from Core Power or whatever, yoga studios. It was the full yamas, right? So at some point he gave up, which is always a profound moment for all of us in love and in life. He gave up and he sat beneath his tree and he nourished himself. He accepted food. He accepted a cushion instead of trying to torture himself so he couldn't enjoy life and be hard. He was trying to be hard on himself the whole 6 years. He accepted some food. He accepted a cushion for his bony little tush. And he basically gave up. And at that point, all the obstacles, all the neuroses, right? Passion, which is clinging and attachment. So Only Good Vibes, the way that relates to all of us is passion is one of the 3 root poisons or neuroses. Passion is a bad translation, frankly. Love-making passion is great, right? Passion can be beautiful, but passion here means attachment or clinging. So we put everybody and everything in the world in 3 categories according to our neuroses. One is attachment. So anything we like, we want to cling to. And all of you who have been in love, how does clinging to love really tightly work out? Not too well. So we cling to anything we want. We're greedy. We see a lot of greed in this world. It's not a good thing. Then we have aggression. We're mean and push away anything we don't want. How does that work out? Not very well. And then there's ignorance, which is often forgotten about because it's ignorance. It's sort of sleepy. It's sort of boring. It's not passion. It's not aggression. It's ignorance. So ignorance is like when you ignore the uncool kids in junior high. Ignorance is a category not of people we hate and want to push away or people we are attracted to and we want to cling to, but the category of people we don't care about. And that's what you see our society do with old people. We put them in hospitals or old age homes with sick people, with homeless. I call it gated community spirituality. So gated community spirituality is not genuine spirituality. And gated community spirituality is pushing away anything we don't want to see and clinging to anything inside the gates that we want. And as you see in MTV Cribs, you can have your own basketball court. You can have your own huge movie theater, but you're not necessarily going to be happy. You go down to the projects or down to the Commonwealth and you see the basketball court there might be dinged up and messy, but kids are playing there. There is fun, there's community, hopefully. So ignorance is a really powerful category to look at. And what I was recommending to my friend yesterday was anytime you're at a party or a social gathering, a farmer's market, anything, and you don't know what to do, practice popping ignorance by talking to those who look like they're insecure, or they're not having a fun time, or they're left out, or they don't know anyone. Because the whole category of ignorance makes us blind to anyone who can't benefit us. Anyone who's spent time in LA sees that everybody there is always looking over everyone's shoulder. If they're talking to someone, they're kind of looking over to see if anyone is cooler and more important to talk to. That is the opposite. That is, they're just ignoring anyone who can't benefit them directly. And love to LA. I love the vegan food. Mwah, I want to come back. But ignorance is something we need to pop. We don't want to be inner mean girls. We want to be inner nice girls, kind girls. So that's that. So in terms of good vibes only, we want to push away anything bad or toxic or narcissistic or whatever. And we want to just keep good people around us. That may play well on Instagram and get you lots of likes, but that's not a good way to approach life. It's not healthy. So in Buddhism, we literally do the opposite. We do Tonglen. We meditate. We establish a ground of seeing through our own bullshit and seeing through our solid storylines. We dedicate ourselves to the benefit of the others. Then we do this practice called Tonglen. Tonglen is giving and taking, sending and taking. So Tonglen is literally taking on bullshit and suffering and pain and anger and sadness and depression of the world. And there's so much. But it's not holding on to it and solidifying it, because we have the foundation of meditation practice. And we have a lot of articles on Elephant Journal. Search meditation Trungpa. You'll find great articles. So it's important to start with meditation and dedication, why you're doing this. You're not just doing this for a better you. Self-help is bad for you, right? As I like to say, that's the name of my podcast. Self-help is bad for you. Why is it bad for you? Because you're trying to make yourself better. When really, from a Buddhist point of view, the practice is to accept yourself, to make friends with yourself, and then you naturally will be better, just because you'll have empathy for your own situation for others. Instead of having this sort of self-aggression, I want to be 5 pounds thinner, I never want to sweat even when it's summer and it's 100 degrees, I don't like my wrinkles, I don't like my hair thinning. Like, you just have to accept yourself as you are, with your nutty self, your beautiful, weird self, and then you can actually be of real service to this world. So the problem with only good vibes only is that you become a mean girl, whether you're a boy or a girl. You become a selfish person. And we're all selfish. There's an enlightened selfishness that Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, talks about, where you say, if you're truly selfish, you should be an environmentalist and care about climate change, because ain't no business going to be happening on a dead planet. Ain't no success, ain't no pleasure going to be happening on a dead planet. But typically selfishness manifests itself in small, tight ways, where you keep away suffering, the gated community spirituality, you keep away homeless people, you keep away uncool people who can't be a benefit to you, and you just try to cling to everybody else. And what do you get at the end of the day? The people you cling to run away from you. You're blocking out suffering and not being empathetic, which means you can't even feel your own heart. You can't feel emotion. You can't feel love. You're just left like the character that Orson Welles played in the greatest movie ever, Citizen Kane. I'm doing all of this pre-coffee, by the way. All right. So Citizen Kane, he lives in this huge mansion. He's alone. He's old before his time, and he just is miserable. And he remembers his happy childhood when he had love, when he had community. Commonwealth is my favorite word. Commonwealth, community, makes us happier than a nice Tesla. Commonwealth, community, makes us happier. I was just at farmer's market. I call it free therapy. You got children, you got dogs, you got food, you got sunshine, you got creek, you have community. Community is, if you're rich, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you should invest in community, not invest in exploiting people, because community ultimately will make you happier. So yeah, sorry if the sound is bad, but I can't do much about it. So finally, let's talk about the whole, there's a lot of, in the yoga community particularly, and yoga teachers are sort of like the 22-year-old reverends or ministers of America right now for a lot of people who aren't going to church. The spirituality they're getting is in yoga. So yeah, there's a great question. Should we have boundaries? Not necessarily. in a way, you give up your boundaries, not in an unsafe way, though. That's important. It's a great question. You give up boundaries. The notion in Buddhism is that as you help others out of a genuine sense of appreciation for yourself, you are endlessly renewed with youthful, tiger-like energy. So that's kind of a magical thing. When you try to hold back and contain, you live a more restricted, uptight life, and you're parceling out your energy and you're not feeling the joy. So really, as they say in Buddhism, if you want to be happy, think first of others. If you want to be unhappy, think only of yourself. So I think you're all getting the point. I'm getting a lot of text messages and getting yelled at by work, so I have to get back to work. But that's basically the deal. Good vibes only is a nice idea, but it's bullcrap, because really you need to invite all the suffering of the world, but you don't hold on to it and get dark and absorb it in a bad way. And then you give kindness and generosity and empathy to others. And in so doing, you're reversing the flow of ego. The flow of ego is those three root neuroses we just talked about: attachment, aggression, ignorance. So you're reversing the flow of ego, which the instinct of ego is me, 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 me. What about me? What about me? It's me, me. And you're not happy. Remember, we just said, if you want to be unhappy, think only of yourself. If you want to be happy, think first of others. So when you reverse the flow of ego and you actually accept suffering and you give kindness, generosity, love, empathy, then ironically, in a magical way, you feel happier. You feel relaxed. You're not spending all your energy pushing away suffering. Gated community, spirituality. As Miss Chelseak says, you can't appreciate greatness. You can't appreciate your own life without acknowledging suffering. And ultimately, acknowledging suffering makes us a fuller human being. So I'll leave you with one final Buddhist quote. It's from Pema Chodron relaying a quote from Trungpa Rinpoche. And she says, it's a Trungpa Rinpoche quote. So he says, if you can keep the sadness and pain of samsara, of all the suffering in the world, in your heart, and at the same time keep your your vision on the wisdom and the brilliance of the morning sun of basic human goodness, then you can drink a proper cup of tea. Then the point of the tea is then you can live life properly. Then you can do every little thing fully, properly, with all of your being. So that's it. I'm going to go off and enjoy a proper cup of coffee, and I wish you a lovely day, and stop pushing away anything that isn't good vibes. Big blessings to everybody, and I hope may we be of benefit.